Welcome to Noun Tutorial TV. Like, share and subscribe. GST105, History and Philosophy of Science. Summary. The word science is derived from the Latin word --. Scientia. The word science is derived from word. Latin. The word science is derived from how many Latin words? 1. The word science is derived from the Latin word scientia, which means --. Knowledge. According to the New Encyclopedia Britannica, has been defined as the knowledge of the world of nature. Science. Science generally is regarded in three main ways as follows. A body of knowledge. A method for acquiring knowledge or studying and understanding the world. An institution. The bodies of knowledge generally regarded as science include chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, microbiology, pharmacy and medicine. The of knowledge generally regarded as science include chemistry, biology, physics, mathematics, microbiology, pharmacy and medicine. Bodies. The two branches of science are empirical and sciences. Formal. There are branches of science. 2. The two branches of science, empirical and formal sciences, use what is called the scientific method. The scientific method include the following: observation, problem definition, hypothesis formulation, experimentation, conclusion, theory formulation. Can be viewed as an institution which comprises millions of experts. Science. Science can be viewed as an institution which comprises millions of experts. Experts engage in the study and development of human knowledge. Science. Scientific experts engage in the study and development of human knowledge. Sciences include mathematics, which comprise geometry, algebra, trigonometry, arithmetic, logic, theoretical physics, and statistics. Formal. Formal sciences have a formal and character. Deductive. Sciences have a formal and deductive character. Formal. Science is said to be if its contents, arguments, and procedures obey certain rules. Formal. For example, in mathematics there are rules of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There are also rules for solving certain equations and problems, theorems, etc. Let's take for instance that you are given the following problems to solve. How would you go about it? The rule says that bracket is solved first, followed by of, then division, multiplication, addition and subtraction in that order. The mnemonic device for remembering this rule is BODMAS, where BODMAS stand for bracket, of, division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. Physics, chemistry, biology, psychology, botany, zoology, biochemistry, microbiology, geology, medical sciences are examples of sciences. Empirical. Scientists who observe and experiment in order to find out how things originate, develop, function and relate to each other are called empirical scientists. The knowledge derived in empirical sciences includes inductive generalizations, laws, and theories. Sciences deal with all natural objects. Natural. Physical sciences, biological sciences, medical sciences, and pharmaceutical sciences are examples of science. Natural. Natural sciences include the following: physical sciences, biological sciences, medical sciences, pharmaceutical sciences. Physical sciences include disciplines like physics, chemistry, geology, applied mathematics, astronomy. Disciplines under biological sciences include biology, zoology, botany, microbiology. Pharmaceutical sciences include pharmaceutics, pharmaceutical pharmacology, chemistry, pharmacognosy and dash deal with physical and inanimate objects such as rocks, rivers, and mountains. Physical sciences dash deal with living bodies such as human beings, animals, insects, and plants. Biological sciences dash disciplines deal with objects and problems that affect human and animal health. Medical sciences dash disciplines are concerned with drugs and drug contents of plants and other objects. Pharmaceutical sciences. The social sciences include the following: economics, social psychology, geography, sociology and anthropology, social philosophy. Dash sciences deal with society and social institutions. Social sciences. Religion, art, metaphysics, a branch of philosophy, mysticism, common sense, and imagination are called dash dash. Non-science dash is concerned with worship of the supernatural. Religion dash is concerned with nature and natural phenomena and objects. Science, in particular, religion is speculative and based on faith or dash dash. Dogma. All the following features below describes religion. It is based on dogma. It is speculation. It deals with the worship of supernatural. The aim of dash is to make religious beliefs reasonable without rejecting them. Theology. Rational religion is also called dash dash. Theology. According to Nwela, 1997, dash tries to confirm religious beliefs. Theology dash relies on the principle that the universe is governed by spiritual laws. Religion relies on the principle that the universe is governed by dash dash spiritual laws. Science is dogmatic. False. The figure above illustrates a theme approach to integration of science and other subjects in the Israeli curriculum, D'Ambrosio, 1979. The theme or phenomenon under study is light and shadow. The figure shows how the theme light and shadow is viewed or studied by disciplines such as art, physics, and botany. Science is based on reason and does not accept any idea or belief on faith. True. The following statements are true about science. It is not dogmatic. It is based on reason and does not accept any idea or belief on faith. It subjects everything under its study to critical examination. It does not accept anything as sacred and unquestionable. It relies on the principle that the universe is governed by material law, which may be mechanical, electrical, chemical, and biological. Science seeks knowledge that is objective, certain, systematic, provable and supported by evidence. In general, science is said to be objective, systematic and reliable. All organs are made up of dash dash cells. The method of acquiring scientific knowledge is called the dash dash scientific method. Superficially, science is a collection of dash that describe and explain the workings of nature. Facts. According to dash, knowledge comes from noticing resemblances and recurrences in the events that happen around us. Wilfred Trotter. The first step of the scientific method is dash dash observation. Scientific observation can be both direct and dash dash indirect. Direct observations are made with the aid of the dash dash senses. Dash observations are performed with the aid of instruments. Indirect observations can be classified into spontaneous or dash dash induced. Dash is a most difficult art acquired only after long experience and many errors. Correct observation. Dash concluded that benzene has 6 carbon atoms. Calcul. Benzene has dash carbon atoms 6. The hardest part of the scientific method is known as dash dash experimentation. The German chemist Call discovered the structure of benzene. Calcul. Dash are open to tests, revisions, and tentative acceptance or rejection. Theories. Dash may be defined as the formation of possible solutions to a problem or possible explanations of a phenomenon. Creative thinking. Dash is the testing and evaluation of these proposed solutions. Critical thinking. A dash explains how things are related or their common properties. Theory. When a hypothesis is confirmed through experimentation, it becomes a dash dash theory. Dash take various forms which may be as diagrams, equations, statistical and propositional formulations. Theories. The ancient dash believed that rats came from garbage. Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians believed that rats came from dash dash garbage. Bacteria microorganisms was discovered in dash dash 1676. Louis Pasteur disproved the theory of spontaneous generation in dash dash 1862. Disproved the theory of spontaneous generation. Louis Pasteur. The idea of evolution was not originated by dash dash Darwin. The idea of evolution was not originated by Darwin in the dash century 19th. During Darwin's time, biology was dominated by dash dash natural theology. The natural dash believed that the variations and adaptations of organisms proved that each species was fashioned by God for a particular purpose. Theologians. In A Geologist, James Hutton argued that the Earth was older than a few thousand years. 1795 argued that the Earth was older than a few thousand years. James Hutton. James Hutton hypothesis was based on the fact that he believed that sedimentary rocks that encased fossils were formed by the gradual accumulation of sediments in lakes, rivers, and oceans known as dash dash gradualism. Charles Darwin was born in dash dash 1809. Jean-Baptiste de Lamarck proposed that all species, including human beings, were descended from other species in the year dash dash 1809. Charles Robert Darwin was an English naturalist. Charles Robert Darwin, 1809 to 1882, was an dash naturalist. English. At what age was Charles Robert Darwin a collector of shells? 22 years. Who arranged for him to be a naturalist aboard HMS Beagle? John Henslow. The ship Charles Robert Darwin boarded was called dash dash HMS Beagle. The title of Thomas Malthus' book was Essay on the Armadillo Glyptodont Principles of Population. Darwin published his work in dash dash 1859. In dash dash, Darwin received an essay from a young English naturalist named Alfred Russel Wallace. 1858. In 1858, Darwin received an essay from a young English naturalist named dash Alfred Russel Wallace. Darwin's died in the year dash dash 1882. Before his death predicted that the fossil record should yield intermediate links between the great groups of organisms. Darwin. An early bird reptile called dash was discovered in 1861. Archaeopteryx. An early bird reptile called Archaeopteryx was discovered. 1861. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. In 1861, an early bird reptile called dash was discovered. Archaeopteryx. Discoveries of microscopic fossils by paleontologists have extended back the known history of life on Earth to more than dash billion years. 3.5 microscopic fossils were discovered by dash dash paleontologists. Every good theory has a dash value. Predictive. A dash is an explanation about the cause or causes of a broad range of related phenomena. Scientific theory. J.S. Mill defined dash as nothing but the uniformities, which exist among natural phenomena. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Laws of nature. The entire universe is said to show uniform patterns and to form a united system. This view is called dash dash the law of the uniformity of nature. Dash is the force which pulls every object in the universe toward every other object in the universe. Gravitation. The force that makes a body fall through space towards the Earth is called dash. Gravitational force. The law of gravitation first started as a theory of universal gravitation. The theory of universal gravitation was first postulated by Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton was an English mathematician and physicist. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity was formulated in 1905. Law of universal gravitation states that any two bodies attract each other with a force directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Newtons. The force which pulls every object in the universe towards every other object in the universe is called gravitational force. The first scientific explanation, theory, of the behavior of falling objects was given by Sir Isaac Newton. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity was formulated in 1905. Now Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Explains the behavior of falling objects and the motions of the moon and the planets and other motions we observe on Earth. Gravitational attraction. The origin of science is often traced to the Egyptians and Babylonians. The origin of science is often traced to the Egyptians and the Babylonians. The Egyptians and the Babylonians originated science during the when they settled down to an organized agricultural life and activity. Neolithic Age. The word philosophy was derived from two Greek words, namely, philos, which means love, and sophia, which means wisdom. The word philosophy was derived from Greek words. 2. The Greek word philos means love. The Greek word sophia means wisdom. Philosophy literally means love of wisdom. The kingdom of Egypt was divided into religious centers. 3. The kingdom of Egypt was divided into three religious centers, which were Memphis, Heliopolis Hermopolis. The Egyptian priest scholars established a kind of school system known as the Egyptian Mystery System Schools. Astronomy originated with the Egyptians through their study of the heavens, the stars, and the weather. Now Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. The are credited for the origination of mathematics. Egyptians. The Rhind mathematical papyrus was written during the reign of King A, user, Re in 1650 BC. The first physician of the ancient world and the most famous was the black Egyptian called Imhotep. Lived about 2980 BC and was called the god of medicine. Imhotep was called the god of medicine. The sciences of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering developed in Babylonia about 1800 to 1600 BC. The sciences of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering developed in Babylonia. Was the world's first social philosopher. Ipawar. The world's first philosopher in history, Totep, c. 2800 BC, was an African. Was the great mathematician who laid the foundation for the science of mechanics. Archimedes. The great mathematician synthesized geometry as a science in his book Elements of Geometry. Euclid. Was the librarian at Alexandria who was called the most learned man of antiquity, advanced the knowledge of prime numbers. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Eratos thence. Ptolemy of Alexandria was a geographer and an astronomer. Thales of Miletus, Anaximander, Pythagoras, Heraclitus, and Democritus were popularly called Ionian philosophers. Is usually referred to as the father of Western philosophy. Thales of Miletus taught that water was the source of all things in the universe. Thales of Miletus Thales got this idea from seeing that the nutriment of all things is moisture and that water is the origin of the nature of moist things. Dash forecasted the eclipse of 585 BC. Thales. Anaximander was a pupil of Thales in the Milesian school. Dash was the first among the Greeks to represent the earth on a map, though the science of map-making, cartography, was known in Egypt and Babylonia. Anaximander. Dash called the world stuff the infinite something. Anaximander. The mathematical theory why called Pythagorean theory is named after dash dash. Pythagoras. Pythagoreans believed that the unit 1 is the source of all numbers and they divided it into odd and even numbers. Heraclitus, 535 to 475 BC, claimed the world stuff is divine dash dash. Fire. The first Greek to advance the principle of change as a universal law is dash dash. Heraclitus. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Dash was a disciple of Leucippus who is credited with the founding of the atomic theory or the doctrine of matter. Democritus. The Socratics included Socrates, Plato, and dash dash. Aristotle. Dash was the teacher of Plato and was born in Athens. Socrates, 469 to 399 BC. Plato's studies in Egypt and returned to Athens and opened a school called the dash dash Academy. Dash was the most accomplished of Plato's pupils. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BC. Aristotle was born at Stagira in dash dash Macedonia. Dash was a tutor of Alexander the Great. Aristotle. Dash was one of the emperors who gave the world its present calendar called the Julian calendar in 46 BC. Julius Caesar. The revised calendar is called the dash dash Gregorian calendar. Dash promoted the development of natural history. Pliny, AD 23 to 79. The Middle Ages are also known as the dash dash Medieval period. There are two phases within medieval period. 1. The Dark Ages, 450 to 800 AD. 2. The Renaissance, 9th to 15th century AD. The most eminent Muslim physicist was dash dash. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Ibn al-Haytham, 965 to 1020 AD. Dash was the greatest of the Arabic alchemist whose works were based on experience and experiment. Rhazes, 865–925. The second half of the Middle Ages of Western Europe is called dash dash Renaissance period. Dash was an English philosopher of science who determined the main direction of the physical science in the 13th and 14th centuries. Robert Grosseteste, 1175–1253. Dash was an Italian and he could stand as the incarnation of the true spirit of scientific thought of the Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci, 1452–1519. The period was characterized by an increasing desire for knowledge such that critical power resurfaced. Renaissance. The Renaissance in science was started by two theologians, Albert the Great, 1193–1280 AD, and Thomas Aquinas, 1225–1274 AD. The scientific revolution started in the late century. 15th true experimental science, free from philosophy and religion, emerged in the 16th and 17th centuries. Dash invented a telescope and used it to view the heavens. Galileo, 1564–1642. Who emphasized the role of scientific discoveries and inventions in giving man mastery over the forces of nature. Francis Bacon. Dash discovery became known as the law of the conservation of mass, or matter. Laurent Lavoisier. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. The statement that cells are the building blocks of living things is called the dash dash cell theory. Atoms and molecules are the basic building blocks of matter. Dash are the basic building blocks of living things. Cells. In human beings, The cells which aid reproduction are called gametes. The gametes from fathers are called sperms. The gametes from mothers are called eggs or ova. The statement that cells are the building blocks of living things is called the cell theory. In 1839, two scientists, Theodor Schwann and Matthias Schleiden, made this general statement or proposed a theory that cells are of universal occurrence and are the basic building blocks of an organism, and that cells come from pre-existing cells. Theodor Schwann and Matthias Schleiden proposed the cell theory in 1839. The theory of evolution was proposed in the century 19th. The theory of evolution by natural selection was proposed by Charles Darwin in 1859. The theory of evolution by natural selection was proposed by Charles Darwin. Is also called the Newton of biology. Charles Darwin discovered the laws that govern movements of the heavenly bodies. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Johannes Kepler was the first person to apply mathematics as an empirical instrument to discover these laws. Johannes Kepler was the first person who attempted to arrange the steps of the scientific method in a logical manner. Francis Bacon, 1561 to 1626. In December, the German physicist, Wilhelm Röntgen discovered the X-rays. 1895. In December 1895, the German physicist, discovered the X-rays. Wilhelm Röntgen. The theory of relativity was formulated by Albert Einstein in 1905. The theory of relativity was formulated by Albert Einstein. Men walked on the moon, and unmanned landings have been made on the planets, Mars and Venus. 1969. The first men to walk on the moon were American astronauts called Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin. The first woman in space is and that was in 1963. Valentina Tereshkova. Defined as the techniques that make use of living organisms or parts of organisms such as cells, to make or modify products, to improve plants and animals, or to develop microorganisms for specific applications. Biotechnology. The techniques of biotechnology are as follows: cell and tissue culture technique, fermentation technology, cell fusion. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Embryo transfer, recombinant DNA, rDNA, technology, or genetic engineering. The hardcore of biotechnology is genetic engineering. Genetic engineering was born in the 1980s. The first supersonic passenger airliner called the Concorde began flight services between Europe and the United States in 1976. The first supersonic passenger airliner is called the Concorde. A 27-year-old Russian called was the first person to be in space. Yuri Gagarin. Yuri Gagarin orbited the Earth for the first time on April 12, 1961. Stayed in orbit for 108 minutes and was called the Columbus of the interplanetary age. Yuri Gagarin. The first American in space is called Alan Shepard. Was an advocate of the heliocentric theory. Johannes Kepler. Was credited with the invention of the scientific instrument of observation called the telescope. Galileo. Galileo was credited with the invention of the scientific instrument of observation called the telescope. Noun Tutorial TV, share and subscribe. The cellular telephones were introduced in 1979. Picture phone or video phone is where the caller's pictures are transmitted along with their voices. It was first introduced in 1964. A is a transportation vehicle launched into space to transport existing forms of communication devices, such as cameras, radios and television. Communication satellite. The first electronic digital computer was built in 1946 ENIAC was built by two U.S. engineers called J. Presper Eckert, Jr., and John William Mauchly. ENIAC stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. Some of the facilities and services which the Internet can provide include email, file transfer protocol, FTP, Telnet. The discoverer of the artifact is called Dr. Jean de Heinz Ellen. The Yoruba people are one of the tribes in Nigeria and can be found in the part of the country. Western. The early investigations concluded that the origin of the complex system for large numbers were to Cowra counting. Are shells. Shells are hard outer case covering eggs, seeds or animals, obtained from small snail-like animals found in Indian Ocean. Cowries. Noun tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Is regarded as the father of chemistry. Robert Boyle. Has been referred to as the father of microscopy. Marcello Malpighian. Was a reputed mathematician and an astronomer and built the first accurate pendulum clock. Christian Huygens. Is most remembered for his microscopic discovery of the cells of plants. Robert Hooke. Was a brilliant mathematician and physicist and is remembered mainly for his laws of motion, and the discovery of the composite nature of white light using a sunbeam and a prism. Isaac Newton. Is remembered for his discovery of electricity in 1813 during a series of deliberate researches with very simple apparatus. Michael Faraday. Fleming, Florey, and Chain were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine in 1945. The global population in 1974 was approximately billion. 4.0 The global population in was approximately 4.0 billion. 1974 The continent of has the lowest gross national product, GNP, per capita in the world. Africa. Is a measure of national wealth. GNP. GNP stands for Noun tutorial TV, share and subscribe. Gross national product, GNP. Is a measure of national wealth. Gross national product, GNP. The period of uneasy peace was called the Cold War. BSSRS stands for British Society for Social Responsibility in Science. CESPA is the acronym for Scientists and Engineers for Social and Political Action. Scientists and Engineers for Social and Political Action, CESPA, was formed in by a group of U.S. scientists and engineers. 1969 The knowledge about the world in general was called philosophy. According to the laws of nature are not the same in the planets, yet the scientists use the same law of gravitation for them because of the scientific faith in the uniformity of nature. Philosophers. Means the science of the meaning of words. Semantics. Semantics as a department of semiotics is the study of the relation of signs to the objects to which the signs refer to or designate or are applicable. Is concerned with the validity or soundness of the inferences and conclusions, which we make in our arguments. Logic. According to evolution man evolved from apes. Noun tutorial TV, share and subscribe. The Homo habilis evolved. The Homo erectus discovered first in Java in 1893 and later in Peking in 1970. The Homo habilis evolved the Homo erectus. Evolved the Homo sapiens sapien, modern man. Homo sapiens. The genus Australopithecus afarensis was found in at Hader in Ethiopia by Johansen. 1978 A Dutch naturalist made a detailed study of the spermatozoa. Anton van Leeuwenhoek. There is a group of chromosomes within the nucleus of each reproductive cell. 46 The genes are composed of what is called deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. Is the protein substance which controls the form and function of the cells and tissues of each particular individual so that they harmonize with his hereditary pattern. DNA. Dash is thus responsible for transmitting hereditary characteristics and for the building of proteins. DNA. The 46 chromosomes are arranged in pairs of dash dash. 23 Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Fraternal twins make up 75% of all twin pregnancies while identical ones constitute 25%. The branch of philosophy, which studies the structure of the universe, is called the cosmos. Dash is the area of study, in both disciplines, concerned with the structure of the universe. Cosmology. The branch of philosophy which deals with the evolution and origin of the universe is called dash dash. Cosmogony. The Earth on which man lives is a planet or satellite of the Sun. It takes the Earth approximately dash hours, around the equator, to rotate or turn on its axis. 24 It takes the Earth about dash days, i.e. 1 year, to complete one revolution around the Sun. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. 365 The Earth is dash million miles away from the Sun. 93 The Earth is dash miles in radius. 4000 The Earth has a surface area of dash square miles. 196,550,000 The greatest known height is dash dash, which is 29,028 feet high. Mount Everest. Mount Everest is in South Asia between Nepal and Tibet. The dash is the layer from the sea level to about 5 miles high at the North Pole and 11 miles at the equator. Troposphere. Within the stratosphere is the region of gas called dash dash. Ozone. A powerful oxidizing agent used in water purification is dash dash. Ozone. The dash in the upper atmosphere absorbs the most energetic ultraviolet radiation from the sun. Ozone. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. There are dash minor planets called asteroids. 2000 There are 2000 minor planets called asteroids. Mars has 2 moons known as Phobos and Deimos. The Earth has dash moon. 1. The planets with large numbers of satellites are Saturn and Jupiter. Saturn has 10 while Jupiter has 12. Uranus has 5. The powerful energy from the Sun, called solar energy, is responsible for all the energy and the light in the whole solar system. The Sun, plus its dash planets and their satellites, form the solar system. 9. The Sun, plus its 9 planets and their satellites, form the dash dash solar system. Dash are a large system of stars held together by mutual gravitation and isolated by similar systems by vast regions of space. Galaxies. The galaxy is called the dash dash Milky Way galaxy. A dash is the distance traversed by light in 1 mean solar year. Light year. 1 light year is about dash miles. 5,880,000,000,000 The energy from the sun is called dash dash solar energy. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. The unit of measurement which is used to measure astronomical distances is called dash dash light year. The Earth takes approximately dash hours to rotate on its axis and 365 days. 24 The basic foods needed by man include carbohydrates, fats and oil, proteins, mineral and vitamins. Vitamins. Dash means the plant life of a region. It influences the type of farming done in an area. Vegetation. Natural resources can be classified into dash dash 2. Natural resources can be classified into 2 dash n. Living and non-living resources and renewable and non-renewable resources. Non-living resources are managed by beneficiation, maximization, substitution, allocation, recycling. Dash is the science that explores the relationship between life and the environment in which it occurs. Ecology. Dash science is concerned with knowledge which can be observed with the senses. Empirical. Anatomy is an example of dash science. Medical. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Religion believes that the universe is governed by laws. Spiritual is the character of science which guarantees that all who adopts the same method or procedure can prove or verify the claims or statements, which the body of scientific knowledge contains. Objectivity. Theories that have proved to be universally valid and have a high degree of probability are called natural laws. The ancient Egyptians believed that rats came from garbage. Another name for doctrine of fixed species is creationism. The theory of spontaneous generation was disproved by Louis Pasteur. The carriers of hereditary materials in living organisms are called chromosomes. Is the third step of scientific method. Hypothesis formulation. Is the name given to the procedures of doing science. Scientific methods. Another name for basic science is pure science. Among ancient Africans, the of Mali were reputed for their vast knowledge of astronomy. Intergovernmental organizations. Is the author of Elements of Geometry. Euclid. Democritus believed that everything is achieved by combination of Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Atoms. Introduced inductive reasoning to scientific and philosophical discourses. Socrates. The Babylonian unit of length was finger. The Greek father of modern medicine is Hippocrates. Love of wisdom is said to be the etymological meaning of philosophy. In scientific method, hypothesis is tested during experimentation. The Latin word for knowledge is scientia. Subtraction, addition, multiplication, etc. are rules of mathematics. The doctrine that each species of living things was created by God is called creationism. The explanation that individuals with superior physical or behavioral attributes might have an edge in survival battle is known as natural selection. Induction is rested on a scientific law known as the law of uniformity of nature. The force which pulls every object in the universe toward every other object in the universe is called gravitation. Is the name which the ancient Greeks gave the Egyptian greatest physician of the ancient time. God of medicine. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. The Babylonian gods lived in heaven. The type of writing invented by ancient Egyptians is called hieroglyphics. Is often referred as the father of Western philosophy. Tails. The Pythagorean theory is named after Pythagoras. The atomic theory was invented by Leucippus. Aquinas regarded as the source of all knowledge. God. Einstein held that the only absolute unchanging quantity in the universe was speed of light. The only single surviving species of hominids is the Homo sapiens. Which of the following is not a discipline in the social science? Biology. In resolving mathematical problems involving BODMAS, what do you resolve first? Bracket. Which of these is not a branch of mathematics? Addition. Which among the following is not an example of empirical science? Ethics. Which of the following is an appropriate concern of empirical science? Material things. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Which of the following is not a tool of the empirical science? History. Which of these is not an example of physical science? Mathematics. Which of these is an example of non-science? Religion. The fact that scientific claims can be verified by others adopting the same method is proof of what in science? Objectivity. Which of these is not a characteristic of non-science? Objectivity. Which of these is not a definition of science? Absolute truth about the world. Which step of the scientific method is concerned with guessing? Hypothesis formulation. What is the mark of a good theory? Its predictive value. Science does not enable us to do which of the following? Worship nature. Science has deductive character formal. What is the name given to unexpected scientific observation? Spontaneous observation. Scientists undertake experimentation because they are in search of what? Evidence. Which of these is not a manifestation of man's creative capacity? Procreation. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. What are the types of thinking required by the scientific method? Creative thinking and critical thinking. Falsifiability as a scientific attitude is credited to Karl Popper. Hypothesis is basically about what? Guessing answers to questions raised. Which of the following is not a form which a theory can take? Prophetic pronouncement. Which of these is not an example of a theory? Theory of assumptive veneration. From who did the Islamic scholars borrow the idea of zero? Hindu mathematicians. Modern science arose in what centuries AD? 15th and 16th. The traditional explanation of reality does not involve which of these? Causality. Who first propounded the theory of universal gravitation? Isaac Newton. Which of these is not among the great groups of organisms? Insects. Which of these is the naturalist who independently arrived at theory of evolution at the same time with Darwin? Alfred Wallace. Which of the following is not a rule of mathematics? Triangulation. Branch of science studies objects and phenomena which can be observed through any of the senses. Empirical science. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. The religious centers of Kingdom of Egypt were administered by who? Priests. Scholars. In which country was the lunar calendar invented? Egypt. Who pioneered the division of day into hour? Babylonians. To whom do we attribute the critical tradition of medicine? Anaximander. The simple meaning of Australopithecus is Southern ape. Which stage of evolution did the Homo look very much like modern man? Homo sapien. At what stage of evolution did man begin to control fire and fashion advanced tools? Homo erectus. According to the evolutionist, man originated from Africa. The principle of gravitational attraction which answers the questions of earlier scientists was formulated by Isaac Newton. The honor of inventing a scientific instrument called the telescope goes to Galileo. According to history, the first great change in scientific outlook after the Renaissance was made by a Polish mathematician and astronomers called Nicolaus Copernicus. The Nigerian scientist whose name appear in the history book of Internet was Philip Emeagwali. The geologist who propounded the idea of gradualism in evolution is called Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. James Hutton. Is the remains or body impressions of dead organism that lived is the past. Fossils. The belief that each kind of animal and plant had remained unchanged since creation is called Doctrine of fixed creationism. The progressive change of living things through ages and time is called Evolution. Among the ancient settlement, Tigris and Euphrates Valley is found in Babylonia. Is not part of primitive agriculture. Seasoning. True experiment science, free from philosophy and religion, emerged in the 16th and 17th century. An Italian monk who taught alongside Albert the Great at University of Paris in the 12th century was Thomas Aquinas. Historically, rebirth or revival of learning was started in Italy by three scholars called and Dante, Petrarch, and Boccaccio. The spirit of questioning old beliefs and forming new opinions was described as Renaissance. What is the difference between the Renaissance men and the men of dark of ages in term of attitude? It is Men of dark ages were satisfied and did not ask question. The food that man eat are derived from dash dash. Plant and animal. The sun supplies solar energy while the plants provide dash dash. Oxygen. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Man's existence is sustained through biological reproduction and dash dash. Utilization of natural resources from his environment. The founder of the Geometric Machine Corporation and a consultant to North Atlantic Treaty Organization is dash dash. Bartholomew Nagy. Yangtze is a river found in dash dash. China. The interdependence between man and plant in their air consumption is called dash dash. Symbiosis. Dash is a simpler form of sugar which is derived from carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. Glucose. Yankari Game Reserve is located in dash state. Bocce. Which of these sphere is not part of the layers in the atmosphere dash dash? Stratosphere. In which of this vegetation is farming difficult dash dash? Tundra. Temperate rainforest can be found in dash dash. USA and China. The theory that state that the Earth is the center of the universe and all other heavenly bodies move round it. This theory is called dash dash. Geocentric. A scientist who used his primitive microscopic in 1665 to observe that plant materials have cellular structure was dash dash. Robert Hooke. The combination of two hydrogen atom and one atom of oxygen will produce dash dash. Water. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Who among the following scientists will receive the honor of revolution in chemistry? It goes to dash dash. Antoine Laurent Lavoisier. Dash is a substance whose presence in the air is harmful. Pollutant. Dash refers to the release of substances or energy into the environment in quantities which are harmful to man and other living things. Pollution. The bombing of Japanese cities during the Second World War in 1945 was carried out by the dash dash. Japan. Which of these towns were destroyed by atomic bombs during the Second World War? Nagasaki. Dash refers to absorbing and returning of heat to the Earth's surface due to greenhouse gases. Global warming. The threat to climate arises from the retention of a level of dash in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide. Dash is a collection of various computer networks linked together and communicating by a common protocol. Internet. The term ENIAC simply means dash dash. Electronic numeral integrator and computer. The first electronic digital computer was assembled in the year dash dash. 1946. The first communication satellite called ECHOS was launched by the dash dash. United States. The first step of the Arabs when they came in contact with ancient science was dash dash. Searched for the writing of the Greeks and translated them into their language. Noun tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. In which region of the world did Islamic knowledge flourish? East. One significant invention during the Dark Ages that was not noticed is dash dash. The convention of rigid horse collar and iron horseshoes. The proposition that everything that moves is moved by something else can be credited to dash dash. Aristotle. From the point of view of early Christians, knowledge on nature was valued only as a means of dash dash. Edification. The first scientist philosopher who attempted to arrange the steps of scientific method in a logical manner was dash dash. Francis Bacon. The most greatest eminent Muslim physicist was dash dash. Ibn al-Haytham. The Copernican theory of the universe was dash dash. Not based on experimentation. The view of the universe which posited that the sun is at the center of universe while the planets revolve round is called dash dash. Heliocentric theory. The view of the author of Almagest about the Earth and other planets is called geocentric theory. Australopithecus was found in 1924 in South Africa. Africanus. Paradigm conservation in philosophy refers to dash dash. Impractical proposal. Semantic in philosophy is about dash dash. Language. The philosopher that introduced the principle of falsifiability is called dash dash. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Karl Popper. Falsifiability simply means dash dash. The principle which take care of statement which cannot be verified. Philosophy with the analysis of concepts and the meaning of words is called dash dash. Semiotic. The branch of philosophy which deals with validity and soundness of an argument is called dash dash. Logic. All men are mortal, John is a man, therefore John is immortal. The conclusion John is mortal is a dash knowledge. Deductive. Dash is a branch of philosophy that deals with human and thought. Logic. Philosophy of science is hinged on the dash nature of philosophy. Reflective. According to the Greeks, a philosopher is simply dash dash. Lover of wisdom. Anatomy, physiology, surgery can be categorized as dash dash. Medical science. Physics, chemistry, and astronomy can also be described as dash dash. Physical science. Sense perception objects are mostly associated with dash dash. Empirical science. Physics, chemistry, biology, and medical sciences are best described as dash dash. Empirical science. Religion relies on the principle that the universe is generally governed by dash laws. Spiritual. Logic, physics, and statistics will be best described as dash dash. Formal science. Geometry, algebra, trigonometry and arithmetic are examples of dash dash. Formal science. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Which of the Australopithecus was discovered in Ethiopia in 1978? Afarensis. The year dash seems to be the most important time in early development of modern science. 1660 dash formed the first great synthesis of physical knowledge which is the primary aim of science. Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, and Newton. Dash proposed a principle of gravitational attraction. Newton. By using principle of gravitational attraction, Dash was able to explain the motion of the planets round the sun, the familiar fall to the ground of fruit from trees, and all other motions which we see on Earth. Newton. Dash is regarded as the first person to attempt to arrange the steps of the scientific method in a logical manner. Francis Bacon. In the centuries, further advances were made in mathematics and astronomy. 18th and 19th. The person that can be called the Newton of chemistry was a man named Dash. Antoine. Dash discovered that it was a gas, which he named oxygen, that enables combustion, burning, and respiration to take place. Laurent Lavoisier. Dash insisted that the central concern of the new chemistry was the use of gravimetric method. Lavoisier. Lavoisier insisted that the central concern of the new chemistry was the use of method. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Gravimetric. Dash involves paying particular attention to the weight of the ingredients involved in chemical reactions and of the products that result. Gravimetric method. The discovery of Laurent Lavoisier became known as the dash dash law of the conservation of mass, or matter. The revolution in dash was both a revolution in method as well as in ideas. Chemistry. The dash century has been regarded as the beginning of the scientific age. 19th. The 19th century has been regarded as the beginning of the dash dash scientific age. Living things are built with dash dash cells. In human beings also, the cells which aid reproduction are called dash dash gametes. The gametes from fathers are called dash dash sperms. The gametes from mothers are called eggs or ova. The combination of the sperm of a man and the egg from his wife brings dash dash pregnancy. The statement that cells are the building blocks of living things is called the cell theory. Dash is called the Newton of biology. Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is called the dash dash Newton of biology. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. Dash was the first person who attempted to arrange the steps of the scientific method in a logical manner. Francis Bacon. The theory of evolution by natural selection was proposed by Charles Darwin. The theory of evolution by natural selection was proposed by Charles Darwin in 1859. The formulation of the cell theory by Theodor Schwann and Matthias Schleiden took place in 1839. States that the Earth is the center of the universe and all other heavenly bodies move round it. Geocentric theory. Geocentric theory was proposed by Ptolemy of Alexandria. The observation made by Copernicus is called direct observation. The observation made by Galileo is called indirect observation. Use his naked eyes to view the heavens while made use of the telescope. Copernicus, Galileo. The states that cells are of universal occurrence and are the basic building blocks of an organism, and that cells come from pre-existing cells. Cell theory. The most disturbing of all the upsetting results of early 20th century physics was the formulation of theory of relativity by Albert Einstein. The most disturbing of all the upsetting results of early 20th century physics was the formulation of theory of relativity by Albert Einstein in Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe. 1905 Picture phone or video phone is where the caller's pictures are transmitted along with their voices. It was first introduced in 1964. The first communication satellite is called Echo I. The first communication satellite called Echo I was launched by the United States in 1960. A is a transportation vehicle launched into space to transport existing forms of communication devices, such as cameras, radios, television, etc. Communication satellite. The enables the communication devices to operate at a far greater distance and add vast amounts of information to man's knowledge. Satellite. The first electronic digital computer was built in 1946. The Internet is a collection of various computer networks, linked together and communicating by a common protocol known as TCP/IP. The Internet is an invention of the century 20th. Email means electronic mail. Noun Tutorial TV, share, and subscribe.
Question mark.
Don't call me. The phone is actually tomorrow. So give me the phone.